Hi,
Hang on.
we're talking about what?
Hang on.
What do you mean,
I
hang
had
on,
to go
hang on?
turn. I gotta turn up the AC because
Well, you're doing it
it's-
live
it's-
on
it's-
camera.
all right.
So,
Well, here
also, this is the last one. Even though I'd like to record more, I'd like to record more than 5 episodes.
I almost fell immediately.
Maybe it's not
I'm
the last
setting
one.
up.
Maybe we can make it to 6. Maybe we can make it to 6. I believe in me.
That's what I told myself playing Ghosts and Goblins, but I never did.
I don't believe you. I don't think you could
No,
you
I
can make
knew
it
I
past
couldn't.
3. Yeah.
Uh,
Straight up. Oh my
I
god,
recently
40
played
winks.
through
We
it.
gotta do it.
I recently
gotta get
played
on
through with
that.
save states and got to I got to like level 5, I think, and then I couldn't beat it because it does all. In addition to just being dummy hard, it also has a time limit.
Nice.
So I couldn't get past that. Like I got to the boss and I literally could not kill it faster than the time could run out.
Nice.
With like I got there with over a minute left and I couldn't kill it faster than time could run out.
Get there faster. Duh.
Yeah, apparently. Anyways, yeah, old games used to suck though. Just they just had most of them had really poor level design because it wasn't a well figured
Poor
out
design
thing.
on all like
Yeah,
regards. Not just level
Fire Emblem-
design, game design in
Yeah,
general.
not just like levels. Yeah, not just level design. It's all of the parts of it. The Fire Emblem games were just really bad in that their level design was the biggest flaw. They were the first one I think actually did this all right. Gaiden did this really poorly though, where in Gaiden a lot of maps are just there's a single bunch of enemies. They're just all bunched together though, is the thing. And 4 and 5 did this as well too, where most of the time when you I know 4 did this. I
What
don't
is
know about 5
that?
actually.
Comite? Oh, it's adorable. I love it.
What happens is you start a map and there's like 15 16 enemies maybe, but they're all standing right like adjacent to each other. So what happens is you get up, you move within range of the furthest one out. They all come up and attack you, and then you're just standing there like, I guess we're all just here now.
Yeah.
So like I hated, honestly, in Echoes, the only thing that kept me playing it really was just that it looks so beautiful, and like I do like it was fully voiced. That was the first one that they fully voiced, well, mostly fully voiced. Like there were a few like minor like NPCs that like villagers or something like that that didn't have a voice actor. For the most part, it was like a really pretty game, and like I played it. I think I played a lot of it with 3D on too, just because like it looked nice. I loved it. It looked so good, but the game's still awful because it's just a remake of the old one. Like
Yeah.
the gameplay is still awful. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd
I
still
never
give the
played
game
it.
a high rating.
So, I don't know. Because people probably enjoyed it. Also, you could just be wrong. That's very likely, if you ask me.
Everybody I know that played it really liked it.
Okay. So there you go.
Some people I know a couple people who said they enjoyed the game. They enjoyed the gameplay, but I think the main thing that people wouldn't like is just the map design, because like a lot of the map there are a decent amount of maps on there too where like there's just one large clump of enemies, or archers are awful because they have a range between like 1 and like 5 or 6 depending on like how far you are in the game. Like if he's out 3 houses was bad with range, you didn't experience Echoes.
I did not think it was bad with range.
I'm just saying it felt good. I liked their them using 3 and 4 spaces more than just 1 and 2. 1 and 2, or only using 1 and 2 is boring, for the most part. Although they, on occasion in older games, you would get someone with a bolting or someone with like a longbow, where they use like 3, or they could have a range of 3, or
Right.
It gives a bolting 3 to 10.
Well, I had a
but,
longbow in that game. So I had 5 with fucking Shamir. Thank you, Shamir. Shamir. Is it Shamir? Shamir?
By the end of the game, Shamir. Shamir. Yeah. By the end of the game, Hubert had 5 range for me. Which is great.
Just 5? By the end of the game,
You can get to 6 supposedly.
Dorifia had like 6.
Supposedly you can get to 6 in other routes. Just not the one I took.
No, that's not true.
It is.
No, it's not
anyways,
true. How would other routes affect that?
There's an item that increases magic range by 2.
Is it really?
Apparently. You can get as a reward from a paralog in one of the routes. I don't know which one. Off the top of my head. The reason Hubert had a range of 5 is because he had a base range of 3 use it with Mire and Death. Then he has staff that increases range by 1, and then he also had the ability that just increases dark range by 1. So he had an ultimate range of 5 by the end of the game.
Mine had 6. Dorifia had the magic +1, the ability +1, and Thoron. Oh, maybe she only had 5.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure she would only have 5.
But she also has meteor, so
Well, that's
get wrecked.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, mine also had meteor, and so did Hanneman.
Okay, but mine was better.
Mine was a dancer.
Your Dorifia?
Yeah.
So
Dorothea.
yours looked hotter, but
No, she looked the same.
What do you mean she looked the same?
Her dancer outfit is the same as her normal outfit.
Is it really?
Well, she retains her normal outfit if you post time skip. New Game Plus lets you change outfits.
Okay, yeah.
So like, I could change her to her dancer outfit post time skip, but there are certain characters that have like certain which I'm sure you observed, like preferred classes basically, where when in their time skip versions, when they change to those classes, if it's one of their preferred classes, then they just retain their time skip look as opposed to taking on what the
Yes, I noticed it with Petra when I made her an assassin temporarily. Then I immediately made her a dancer again. After she finished
I feel like I was ultimately correct, because everybody told me that I don't know if she does this when you change her to Pegasus Knight, or not, if she changes to like her outfit for Pegasus Knight. I made her an assassin. Everybody else I know made her a Pegasus Knight.
Well, she excels at flying, so that's not a wrong thing. See,
it's not wrong, and I don't know if she changes, but I'm just saying.
Three Houses has exceptionally good game design and 0 replayability, and I'm upset. They literally set those characters up so you could have done whatever you want with them. That was great. And then they made all the skills worthless.
They did. Well, they do have replayability of that. There's 4 routes, which I would call replayability.
Yes, but see, I don't care to go through those other 3 routes at all, because
that's on you.
I'm not gonna build up. Derek, I'm talking in general, dude. You wanting to replay the game, which you haven't even played yet, is just a little note.
Everybody I know who's played it is on the second route at this point.
Okay.
Other than you and myself, I guess.
No, I'm on the second route.
I'm technically also on the second route.
I just don't care. No, but you didn't even let me finish. You just interrupted me saying everyone else is on the second route. That's not replayability anyhow, because technically it's 4 separate routes. So it's 4 separate stories. I would argue that's not replaying a game.
Okay, then it's one game with a very long story.
Yes.
Okay, then you haven't finished the story yet.
Alright, great. I have no interest in finishing the story.
Alright, well that's on you.
No, it's not. It's on the game.
You also read stuff,
Derek,
didn't you?
What the fuck is this, dude? This is the worst response to criticism. Oh, you didn't enjoy the game? Well, that's on you. Oh, this thing isn't as good? Well, that's on you. What the fuck is this thing? Para audio. Paradio? That's scary. Anyhow, like, no, I'm trying to talk about some of the game design aspect. The skills let you further customize your character in a build that's interesting. I don't quite like how New Game Plus handles, but I don't think it's too annoying to deal with. But I don't feel any real need to build up my classes differently, because it doesn't ultimately do anything. Which is, you know, like, there's no effect.
It does a little bit. It does a little bit. It's not
because you have
it's
their
not as
class-specific
significant.
abilities.
It's not as significant as like past things, and they do. I do believe they also introduced the ability to do more with crests too.
I don't know what crest. I really didn't pay attention to crest that much, but yeah, there's character-specific
Didn't talk
abilities.
to anybody.
I didn't talk. What do you mean I didn't talk to anybody?
Like when you explored, you didn't talk to everybody.
I did.
I thought you said you did. That's why you missed. That's why you missed the route in general. The other route in general.
Oh yeah, I didn't know I was supposed to talk to that person and go back to a thing. There was a point where I stopped talking with people. I talked with people though for a while in the beginning.
All right. Well, clearly you didn't talk to Handman enough.
I did, yeah. In fact, that was probably the only one I paid attention to, because he talks about Crest nonstop, and it's very annoying. Like, straight up, it's so annoying. He mentions it like every second. And yeah, I know like some characters have crests that also give abilities. I know because your character has one that's overpowered, basically.
Yes, it very, very much so. And they do more. I believe they do more with them in New Game Plus.
Really? How so?
That's what I've been told. I believe you can confer crests onto other people.
That doesn't
people who
make
don't
sense,
have crests,
because in the story, aren't they like born with it or some shit?
Ordinarily, yes, but I wouldn't be surprised if like some way that somehow someone somewhere finds a way to do it, because I did in my the playthrough I did, and I think this might be in all the playthroughs. It might not be in yours actually. Actually, it's probably not in yours specifically. It's possible for certain in my playthrough, someone did inherit a crest, or they got a crest that they didn't previously have, and I believe they do more with that in New Game Plus, which allows all additional customization. Because then you have people like Felix, whose crest is broken because he gets plus 5 might just for not having a battalion.
Let me see. Oh, New Game Plus allows one to buy crest using Renown. Okay. Interesting. Anyhow, I guess that's kind of cool. I didn't really look at the crest too much, so maybe that's a little bit more interesting. But what I'm saying is, so in previous Fire Emblem games, you'd go through a class and you level up, and you'd get that class's specific skill. And the way it worked was, you could basically pass those skills on. No, you could. Could you do multiple classes? Yeah, you could do multiple classes. So you could build up a class, get up all their skills, and then move on to the next class. And you can build your units a little more customizably, and that's great. Yes. And I love that about it, because it lets you build an interesting army, and you can change it up. Three Houses doesn't allow for that as much, because it does, but the skills just don't matter.
It allows for anybody to do. It allows for most anybody to do most anything.
Yes, and that's great.
It's a different. I think it's a different take on it. That they, rather than having skills be the most important thing, you instead can master any weapon, for the most part, regardless of class. Like, some classes can't cast magic, or some classes can't use certain things. But for the most part, you have the ability to master everything, and they did do a cool thing where the additional skills are unlocked solely by just leveling up your proficiency with weapons, as opposed to
yes, and those are the only ones that are really that interesting, and only really the riding and flying ones. Oh, and the heavy armor ones. That's it. All the other ones just what your weapon you do a little bit better with a weapon, and then you get sword fare or whatever for maxing out that weapon. Which is cool though, because you can stockpile, you can stack those.
I honestly didn't know what maxing it did. That makes sense. I just never got that far.
I got bow fair Shamir, and now she's a bow knight, so she does an extra 10 with her bows. It's strong. It's great. But like, so what's the difference between Bernadetta being an archer and Petra being an archer?
For one thing, I think one thing that does make a difference too is base growth rates. Like Petra gets she has an incredibly high speed growth rate, whereas I don't think Bernadetta has as much. Hers is if I had to guess for her, she probably gets more dex than Petra, and probably more strength too. So for one thing, just on that alone, Petra will be a very fast archer. Bernadetta will be a stronger and more accurate archer.
Great. What's the difference between Petra as an archer and Bernadetta as an archer?
They're both archers. It's just which one. It's just like
it's their stats.
What's your point? It's their stats.
There's no way to build them differently, to me, and that's what I don't like.
Well, what's the difference between Zinker? What's the difference between in like Fates? What's the difference between having?
Let me put it this way, Derek.
Like Perry has a great night, or Effie has a great night.
Derek, let me put it this way. Let's say me and you both make our Petras an archer. We decide we want them to be, we want them to use bows. Mm-hmm. You know, what's the difference between your and my Petra? That's a better way of putting it.
Whatever luck happens when we upgrade them, or that it's the same. Zinker, it's the same thing in the other games.
Well, no, because in the other games, you could take them down different skill paths.
Yes, and you do that here too. Rather than just making her an archer, you make her other things too.
No, I know, but it doesn't do anything. Like that's my point. The skills
they just ratcheted it down. They just pulled it back a little bit because it was they were dummy strong in the other games. They did way too much. The numbers were way too high for some of it. I do think that's very true. I think having Defiance skills
you can balance it better.
Because who lets units fall below 25 and stay there?
Yeah. Right. But like no, like a lot of
Defiance were
they could. There's no reason that they had to scale back, but ruin the individuality out of all of them. So I kind of compare this to XCOM. I've been playing it on randomizer, which that's not the typical way, obviously. So it's a bit BS to be like how different that is. But that randomizes all the skills across here, so I can have like a sniper that uses a machine gun ability of spraying and praying and destroying all the cover and attacking everyone. It's funny. That's not normal. But even in XCOM, right, you have an assigned class. You can't change out of that class, but you have 2 skills each level up, and you get to choose between those 2 skills. And it's that small thing, and it'll make everyone's characters quite different. You know, instead of it just being the same thing. And I'm not saying Fire Emblem is horrific with this. Like, if I took Bernadetta and I could make her a general, like a heavy armor general, and she won't be able to take damage or whatever anymore, and that's great. And that's completely different from, say, making Bernadetta an archer who's a Pegasus, you know. Which you know, but I'm saying is they could have done it better still if they made the skills make the skills more interesting. Not like they don't have to be strong, just interesting. Like, and especially like all the masterclass abilities, I think the only one that's interesting, no, there's two. It's Falcon Knights and the War Master. Everything else is either the Defiant ability or, mind-blowingly, an ability that's exactly like the intermediate abilities, which just gives you +6 to res, warding blow, which is ridiculous. Yeah. You'd think it'd be something cool. No, you get something that you would have thought. Yeah,
the blows are kind of bad. I would, though. That's one thing that disappoints me is they've been experimenting.
They're good. They're okay abilities.
They're good, but I mean, like they could have, like they're not great. Like
they're as good as it gets. To me.
My point is they're not that interesting. I guess is what I mean. Like they're good, but like they're
boring.
They're not creative. That is one thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do agree with you. I think they could have done a lot better with what skills they chose to put in. Defiants are dumb. That's the thing that bothers me, I think, about this the most, is just that they've been releasing all sorts of cool and fun skills to heroes for the last 3 years at this point. Like 2.5 years, I think, actually. But they've been releasing they've had this almost basically like a playground just to try out all this cool stuff. And Heroes obviously plays way different than conventional Fire Emblem games, because everything in Heroes is finite. There is no random chance in anything, other than just pulling units, or pulling heroes. That's literally the only random in the game. They've been releasing they have all these cool skills and whatnot that they've done here. I would have hoped they would have been able to transfer those a little bit better to Three Houses. Defiant skills did originate with, I believe, with Heroes, where when you fall below a certain percentage, you get a buff, and that's basically how they work in Three Houses. Is basically how they work in Heroes. But like literally nobody uses them anymore in Heroes because they got overshadowed by other cooler, better things, and they were in the release to Heroes Defiant skills, and they don't use them any, or they don't. No new units come with them, and nobody uses them anymore because they were horribly crept out because they just didn't do anything really. And that's the same thing in Three Houses. They just don't do anything. It would have been nice to see skills like there's a skill called threatens, which are like threaten attack is if your unit's within 2 spaces of an enemy at the start of your turn, that enemy gets -5 for the next round, something like that. And like it's basically like seals, but it's just at the beginning of your turn if you're near them, rather than after combat. But like implementing something like things like that, those have been in Heroes from the beginning. But even just something like that though would have been cool. Or they can't really do employees, but like there's a lot of cool things though that they could have done.
And they just
didn't. I don't think it's bad. I don't think Three Houses is bad because of it, but
I didn't say it was bad.
I do think it could have been better.
I said it killed its replayability.
I don't think it suffers from it. I don't think it suffers from it, but it could have certainly been better.
For me, it just kills any interest in wanting to do it again, because it's like, well, nothing. It feels like
for the other
it's not gonna change. Like it feels like I know there's story for the other routes, but like especially for me because I don't care about the story. What do I get out of it? I'm just gonna play it again. Well, slightly different gameplay variations.
Beyond story, assuming you didn't just recruit every single person that was able to be recruited, like I did not, which I think is honestly the correct way to play, is maybe you recruit commoners, but like recruiting nobles from other houses is, I think, honestly takes away from the game, because I think the correct way to play through Three Houses to the fullest enjoyment, or to play through all 4 routes to the fullest enjoyment, is to play all of the main 3 routes without recruiting anybody except for commoners from the other houses. Because thematically it makes sense to recruit commoners, but like nobles, it doesn't make sense for them to like leave their house, or to like leave their but also just because
I don't know
that
who
way
the fuck's a commoner, who the fuck's a noble. I only want to play the characters I care about.
You can look at them, but when you do play through the other houses, though, you're given a different selection of units who are good at different things. Like for Edelgard,
that will change it.
At least for my playthrough for Edelgard, the only person who was proficient with armor was Edelgard. I know the other classes have someone who's proficient, and there was no one that there was Petra who was a good.
Bernadetta's good with armor, I think.
That doesn't add up.
Also, Fernandad is also good with armor. It's his budding talent, granted, but he is.
My point is, I guess a better example probably would be a Pegasus Knight. Ingrid is like the only one that I know of that is specific. I guess Petra probably is too. I don't know what Petra is in her preferred classes. I don't know if it's assassin or
it's
Pegasus
assassin.
Knight.
It's assassin, but she has Pegasus Knight as a high growing, flying as a high growing stat.
My point is, there's
a suggestion that if you want a Pegasus Knight, you can make Petra it.
My point is, though, is if you play the Golden Deer route, I don't believe anybody in that route. They might be okay with flying. There might be someone who's like good to start with flying, or like you can always train someone up to flying. But there's no one who's like preferred class is flying. And like with Ingrid, for example, her stat growths are that of a conventional Pegasus Knight, because that's what her preferred class, her preferred class is. So like if you make her a Pegasus Knight, she will excel as a Pegasus Knight, because that's just where her skills are good. Additionally, in my playthrough, I didn't have a single Wyvern Knight. I didn't have a single person that was good for being a Wyvern Knight.
Oh wait, yeah.
I didn't have a single person that was good for being a Wyvern Knight.
You weren't like me, where I was just me and Sedif for a while. I'm like, all right, guess I'm stuck with just my buddy Sedif. Me and Sedif for life. No one else.
In other places, and like Wyvern Knight's a great class. In other playthroughs, I'll probably be able to use a Wyvern Knight. But you know what I didn't do in this one at all? I didn't use a single Wyvern Knight. You can also make challenges for yourself too, of just like, okay, literally everybody can be a Cavalier. What if everyone's just a Cavalier? All horses.
Oops, I didn't want to skip that. Too bad I don't know how to go past. Well,
what if I just do oops all horses? Guess what?
Oops all horses.
We're all riders now.
Look, all I'm saying is I feel like they could have done more to make it slightly more interesting. But I do like, I'm not saying it's entirely bad, but, I feel like there's more they could have done to keep interest in it. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Anyhow, we're moving on to the next episode, so, bye-bye.